Four letters sealed my fate. E-S-B-I. But I didn't know it until the night. Everything collapsed, and something far greater began. You ever feel like you're playing a game where the rules were written by someone else? A paycheck that shows up just in time to cover the last disaster. A promotion that costs you more than it rewards you. A dream that keeps getting rescheduled for someday. Yeah, I lived that game until I stumbled upon a forgotten diagram, a quadrant that didn't just explain the world, it rewired mine. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let me show you the truth they never wanted you to learn. The truth that splits the rich from the restless, the free from the trapped, the builders from the believers. Because once you understand where you stand, you'll know exactly where to move next.
I had it all, or so I thought, until the Cashflow Quadrant revealed how bankrupt my dreams truly were. Midnight, in the concrete jungle of my life. The city lights below twinkled like distant stars, indifferent to the turmoil they witnessed in the glass tower above. I pressed my forehead against the cool window, heart throbbing in time with the pulse of the city traffic. The air smelled of stale coffee and ambition, a blend I had tasted every morning for years. I was alone except for the whisper of a forgotten idea that fluttered at the edges of my mind. The Cashflow Quadrant, a concept murmured in alleyways and boardrooms alike, had drifted back into my consciousness like smoke curling from a dying flame. E, S, B, I. Each one carried a weight, a secret, a promise. But tonight, it felt like an omen. Why was I here, drenched in fluorescent light and emptiness? You might wonder why a high-paid number cruncher like me would stare into the night, eyes flickering with something beyond exhaustion. The office around me was silent. In this stark silence, time seemed to slow. I could hear my own pulse echo in my ears. The city hummed on, oblivious. I realized I needed a change, not just a new strategy or a promotion, a transformation as seismic as the crash of an old world. And so, the first act of my new story began. The next morning, my chair sat empty. No apology, no farewell tour, just the echo of my boots on the marble floor as I turned in my badge. A janitor dusted a forgotten trophy on a shelf, oblivious to the empire I'd just abandoned. Outside, the city bustled under a sunny sky, world not pausing even for a billionaire's grand exit. You ever had that moment, heart drenched in adrenaline, when you step into the world unknown, beat, terrified and alive, wallet heavier with severance, brain light with questions? I traded my tailored suit for worn jeans and a map of 4 squares. The Cashflow Quadrant sat on my coffee table, a worn paperback etched with promises of freedom and risk. Over peppermint tea and the distant growl of traffic, I soaked in its words. The book spoke of cages and keys, employees tethered by paychecks, self-employed by their own grind, business owners commanding systems, and investors who make money work while they sleep. I felt each definition in my bones. Which one was I, and which could I become? Days bled into nights in that tiny apartment. Walls plastered with sticky notes and spreadsheets, stale coffee growing cold at my fingertips. The tap in the kitchen dripped rhythmically. My laptop hummed as I built dreams in real time, like constructing an airplane in mid-flight, every bolt tightening under anxious hands. I started small, selling handmade gadgets at street markets under neon signs, breathing in the night air and tasting the thrill of passing tips. The risk tasted like cheap whiskey and victory. Every coin in my pocket felt like a choice. Spend or save. Risk or retreat. And yet, something wasn't right. Every day was a grind of flashy faucets and half-empty promises. Maybe I was meant to do more than trade hours for dollars. So I shook the dust off another dream. A startup venture, in the dim corner of a basement with 2 co-founders I'd never met. We sketched grand plans on napkins in underground diners, trading wary glances over stolen sips of cold brew. It was chaos and excitement, an insane mix. The pitch room was silent as the last slide glowed on the screen. 4 squares of different colors: red, green, black, blue. The Cashflow Quadrant staring back at us as if winking. My voice echoed in that marble hall. This isn't just a plan,
It's a revolution. Then it happened. The fluorescent lights above started to flicker. A distant thunder rolled through the city streets beneath the skyscraper. One of the men at the table smirked and whispered into a phone. It looked like a casual call until their eyes went wide. All at once, every cell phone in the room buzzed. Stock tickers outside shattered their rhythms. The world seemed to hold its breath. The investor leaned back, eyes fixed on his phone. It's up 300%, he muttered. The room blurred into chaos, chairs scraping, people talking over one another, the scent of expensive cologne and fear mixing in the air. The market had suddenly caught fire. Our startup idea was trending viral across continents. In that insane moment, reality split open. I felt my heart slam against my ribs, the sound deafening in my ears. My phone kept buzzing. The projector lights flickered on and off. One by one, news headlines flashed on every screen about a little company with a big idea. My mouth went dry. I was shaking. Holy hell, was this what it feels like to win? Riding that wave, I walked out into the stormy night, rain washing the fear from my face. The city glowed around me, neon signs, wet asphalt, endless possibility. Every raindrop on my skin was electricity. For the first time, I truly understood what the cash flow quadrant meant by magic. And then it all slowed down. I stood beneath a flickering street lamp, watching strangers rush by, oblivious to the miniature miracle that had just happened. Because in that moment, I realized this wasn't just about money. It was about freedom. I looked up at the broken sky. Even under that hazy light, the image of those four squares burned bright in my mind. They weren't cages. They were escape routes. I had been an employee, then a self-employed hustler, and finally a business owner. But none of those were my endgame. The investor inside me was waking up, and he felt no shackles. I walked home through deserted streets, the rain washing away doubt. My wet shoes sloshed on the sidewalk as neon signs flickered overhead, advertising dreams, selling futures. And I realized something profound. I wasn't just free of my old job. I was free of my own fears. Freedom tasted like cold rain mixed with triumph. Now, leaning back in a chair that's mine, not an office cubicle, I gaze into the quiet. A smile is forming somewhere in the silence because I know nothing in life is certain except that I control my path. So I ask you, yes, you, sitting safe and warm, wondering if this applies to you, what will you do with your corner of the map? Are you content watching the clock, trading hours for scraps, or will you dare to redraw your lines? It's your turn to find out. The night is still young, and the quadrant lies before us, its doors waiting to be opened.
So, there I stood, not richer in dollars, but freer in mind. I had crossed from survival to strategy, from earning to owning. The world hadn't changed, but my quadrant had. And now, I don't work for money. Money works for me. The real question is, will it work for you? Or will you keep playing someone else's game? The cash flow quadrant isn't just a model, it's a map to freedom. And freedom, my friend, isn't earned, it's claimed.